Look up tonight. Look at the stars. By every honest calculation in modern physics, those stars should be loud. They should be crowded. They should be answering us. Instead, the sky is silent. And the most disturbing explanation we have for that silence is not that the universe is empty. It is that the universe is full, and that everyone living in it has learned to stay quiet. Welcome back. What we are about to walk through is called the dark forest theory. It is one proposed solution to a real, unsolved problem in modern science called the Fermi Paradox. And by the end of this video, you will understand why some of the most serious physicists alive today believe humanity may already have made a catastrophic mistake, simply by being noisy. This is not science fiction. The numbers are real. The radio signals are real. The game theory is real. Stay with me, because the conclusion is something you will not be able to unthink. The story starts in 1950, at a lunch table in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The physicist Enrico Fermi was eating with three colleagues. The conversation drifted to flying saucers. Then, somewhere between the soup and the dessert, Fermi looked up and asked a single question that has haunted astronomy ever since. But where is everybody? It sounds like a casual remark. It is not. It is a paradox. Here is why. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is roughly 13 billion years old. Our solar system is only about 4.5 billion years old. That means there has been time, vast, almost unimaginable amounts of time, for other civilizations to arise long before us. In 1961, the astronomer Frank Drake wrote down an equation that tried to estimate how many of those civilizations should be out there right now, capable of communicating with us. The Drake equation multiplies together the rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, the fraction of planets that could host life, the fraction where life actually arises, and so on. Plug in even cautious, conservative numbers, and you still get an answer in the thousands, maybe the millions. The galaxy should be alive with signals. And here is the part nobody can explain. We have been listening, seriously listening, for over 60 years, with radio telescopes, with optical telescopes, with the James Webb Space Telescope scanning exoplanet atmospheres for the chemical fingerprints of life. We have heard nothing. Not a whisper. Not a beacon. Not a single confirmed artificial signal from beyond Earth. This is the great silence, and it should not be there. Now, scientists have proposed many possible answers. Maybe life is rare. Maybe intelligence is rare. Maybe civilizations destroy themselves. But in 2008, a Chinese science fiction author named Liu Cixin published a novel that gave one of these answers a face and a name. The novel was called The Dark Forest. It's the second book in his Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, which Netflix later adapted as Three Body Problem. Liu's central image is unforgettable. He asks us to picture the universe not as a quiet, empty room, but as a vast, dark forest. And in that forest, every civilization is a hunter, armed, careful, moving silently between the trees. Each hunter knows that the forest is full of other hunters. None of them can be sure who is friendly and who is not. None of them can afford to be wrong. So if any one hunter ever hears a sound, sees a light, or detects another presence, there is only one rational thing to do. Open fire. Eliminate the source. Then go quiet again. That is the dark forest hypothesis. The universe is silent, the theory says, because every civilization that ever made noise has already been wiped out. The ones that remain, the ones that survive long enough to be old, are the ones that learned very early to keep their mouths shut. But Liu's metaphor is more than poetry. Underneath it sits a real argument built on three logical axioms. And those axioms are where we have to slow down. Axiom 1. Survival is the primary goal of any civilization. This is not a controversial claim. It is the same assumption biologists make about every organism on Earth. A species that does not prioritise its own survival does not get to be a species for very long. So if there is any pattern that should hold across alien minds, this is the one. But here is where the dark forest gets sharp. Survival, in a finite universe with finite resources, is a competitive condition. Civilizations grow, they consume, they expand. Even at fractions of the speed of light, an advanced civilization could spread across an entire galaxy in 100 million years, which sounds long until you remember the galaxy has had over 13 billion years to allow that. And the more civilizations there are, the more the resources of the cosmos matter. Every habitable world becomes both a treasure and a threat. Axiom 2. The chain of suspicion. This one is the heart of the theory. It is also where the theory becomes a problem in pure game theory. Imagine you detect another civilization. You learn nothing about them except that they exist. Are they peaceful or hostile? You cannot know. The light between you takes years, decades, sometimes thousands of years to cross. Any conversation will be slower than any war. You might assume they are peaceful, but you also have to assume that they are asking the same question about you. And they have to assume you are asking it about them. So now there are layers. You know they exist, they know you exist, you know that they know that you know that they know, and on and on. In game theory, this is called incomplete information. And under incomplete information, the strategy that minimizes worst-case loss is almost always the strategy of striking first. Because if they are peaceful and you strike, you have lost a friend. If they are hostile and you do not strike, you have lost everything. The chain of suspicion makes peace mathematically unstable. Not impossible, just unstable. And across millions of years and millions of civilizations, the unstable outcomes do not survive. Axiom 3. Technology can explode. Look at the last 300 years on Earth. Steam engines to nuclear weapons. Hot air balloons to spacecraft. The smartphone in your pocket would have been indistinguishable from magic to anyone alive in 1900. Now imagine an alien civilization that is just 200 years ahead of us, or 2,000, or 2 million. The dark forest argument says that even if you spot a civilization that looks weaker than you today, by the time your fleet crosses the gulf between stars, they may have surpassed you completely. And the weapons available to a significantly more advanced civilization are not the weapons of war as we know them. There is a concept in astrophysics called a relativistic kill vehicle. Take any object, a chunk of rock the size of a building, and accelerate it to a meaningful fraction of the speed of light. The kinetic energy alone on impact with a planet would dwarf every nuclear weapon ever built. There is no defense. There is barely any warning. The flash would arrive before the message. This is what the dark forest theory says you are betting against every time you broadcast. And here is the part that should make every viewer pause. We have already broadcast. In 1974, the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico transmitted a deliberate message toward the globular cluster Messier 13, 25,000 light years away. The signal will arrive in the year 26974. Long after anyone alive today is gone. But the signal is gone, and we cannot call it back. Beyond that, every television broadcast, every radar pulse, every cell tower since the early 20th century has been leaking outward at the speed of light. Earth is wrapped in what astronomers call a radio bubble, currently about 100 light years across and growing 1 light year per year. We are not whispering. We are not even talking. We are shouting. This is why a debate is now active in the scientific community over what is called METI, Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, the practice of deliberately sending strong, targeted signals to other star systems. Stephen Hawking, before his death, publicly warned against it. He compared first contact with a more advanced civilization to the meeting between Christopher Columbus and the indigenous peoples of the Americas, and reminded us that the meeting did not go well for the side that was less technologically advanced. Other scientists disagree. They argue that any civilization advanced enough to hurt us has almost certainly detected us already, simply from the chemistry of our atmosphere or the leakage of our radio. They argue that silence is a wasted opportunity, that the universe is more likely curious than hostile, and that fear is a poor reason to abandon contact. The honest answer is that we do not know. The dark forest is a model. It is not proof. And like any model, it has weaknesses worth taking seriously. It assumes uniform motivations across alien civilizations, which is a strong assumption when we know that even within our own species, motivations vary enormously. It assumes resources are scarce on cosmic scales, when in reality, the raw matter and energy of a single galaxy are almost beyond use. It assumes that no civilization ever evolves past predator-prey logic into something we might recognize as cooperation or transcendence or simple disinterest in us. Maybe the silence is not the dark forest at all. Maybe intelligent life is just much rarer than the Drake equation suggests. Maybe it is so common that older civilizations have simply moved on to forms of communication we cannot yet detect. Gravitational waves, neutrino pulses, structures so subtle we are walking past them every night. Maybe there is a great filter ahead of us, and nobody gets through it. Or maybe Liu Cixin and the physicists who agree with him are right. Maybe the forest is real. Maybe we are the noisy child standing in a clearing, screaming into the dark, while older, quieter things turn their heads and slowly look our way. So tonight, when you look up, and I hope you do, hold both possibilities in your mind at once. The universe may be empty, or the universe may be full and listening and choosing not to answer for very good reasons. I want to know what you think. Do you believe humanity should keep broadcasting, or should we go quiet? Tell me in the comments. I read them. If this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe. There is much more to come on the questions physics is afraid to answer out loud. And share this with one person who looks at the sky the same way you do. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars. Just maybe, do not wave at them.